Hey guys, this is No Solution. I'm Scott, and here it is. My top 10 is sort of with some cheats. Favorite albums of the year. So, normally, this is the part where I, in the past, and a lot of people have done their preamble of I haven't heard everything. This is just my opinion, but I thought I would go a different way with this. I have, in fact, listened to every metal release this year. Actually, every music release at all, because there's some non metal in this, and I've judged everything fairly and scientifically. And these are the albums that are worth listening to from this year. If it's not on here, it's obviously shit, and I hate it. And if your favorite's not on here, it's terrible. And it's in addition to that, it is a personal attack on you, and that you're just wrong, man. You're just wrong. These are the good albums. Anything else sucks. So let's get into it and find out what you should be listening to. I look forward to anyone jumping into this who's not watched me before and takes that seriously. So that should be fun in the comments. Okay, so right away, I did a video, my kind of honorable mentions, other stuff I wanted to talk about that wasn't on my list. This was just going to be the list, but I've already fucked up. I waited too long. I had to tinker with my list, and something got knocked off. Then I'm just going to mention it as the final honorable mention. It is the new album from Opeth, Last Will and Testament, their 14th album on Raining Phoenix. I don't know if this is one of the nuclear blasts. There's Atomic Fire now there's Raining Phoenix. I don't know what's going on, but whatever. So this kind of the headline of this one was the death metal growls are back, the first time since Watershed in 2008. I think if you're going in with that as your as the hook, you're going to be kind of disappointed. There are death metal growls on here, but it is definitely musically it's more in line with what they've been doing, more of the progressive rock kind of stuff, and it's really really good, really intricate stuff going on. Excellent performances. The reason this got knocked down for me is the more I listened to it, the more I was annoyed by the narration that's going on from Ian Anderson. I see how it's necessary to tell the story. This is a concept album, but I think it just is kind of intrusive the more you listen to it. I just kind of wish they weren't there. Nothing against him. I mean, he does a fine job, but I would rather just not have those narrations in there. So I thought if there's a big thing in an album that kind of is starting to rub me the wrong way, it probably should not be on my list. So it was, and now it's not. So, but nevertheless, if you're an Opeth fan, I think you will enjoy this. And if you haven't been in a while, I don't know, maybe check it out. But I think if you haven't liked the last few, you're not going to like this one either. But just my opinion on that. So we'll get into the sort of top 10. All right, my number 10 is Departure Chandelier with Satan's Soldier of Fortune. So this is a project of members split between Montreal and New York. This is their second full length. They have some splits and demos. The kind of what I was worried about on this is everything they've released before this was all recorded in 2010. I'm not sure if it was all in the same session or not, but it was all kind of in that same time period. So even though things have been released over the last 10 years, they're all from that session. So this was kind of the first newer recording from these guys. If I didn't say, it was released on Occult Antiquities, which is their label, digitally, and then the physical came out from Nuclear War Now. So this is a raw black metal project. Kind of the conceit of it is putting Napoleon in the role of the Antichrist. And so it's a lot of, French history, things like that. This is really great, man. I was watching Dan Moonshine Talking's video, and he just said this music just sounds off, and it really does sound off. They label it as antique black metal, which, while I couldn't really describe what that means, I think it fits. A lot of keyboard stuff going on, but also really savage black metal, really catchy songs. Hard as a Coffin Nail is just like a banger. Not something I like all their stuff, but they haven't really had a song before that I would call like a banger. But yeah, great stuff. I'm really looking forward to this project continuing. They had an offshoot of this called Venusberg Cardinal that was also very good, that came out last year. So I'm really looking forward to more from Departure Chandelier. So that's my number 10. We're already running long. We gotta speed this shit up. Okay, this one should be quick because everybody's been talking about this forever. I finally got a copy of it. The Cure, Songs of a Lost World. Their first album in 16 years. And that one, I have it, but I can't even swear I've even listened to it. And the one before that was kind of like, okay. So it'd been over 20 years since The Cure had done anything I was really excited about. So I kind of put off buying this, but everybody was raving about it. And it is really, really good. Not too long, like 40 some minutes. All the song, it's very much in the depressive vein. There aren't, how The Cure sometimes has the poppy songs. There's not any poppy songs on here. And most of the songs have a very, very, very long intro, kind of getting into the vocals coming in, which at first was off-putting, but now I really like it. I think it really sets the mood. And then the last song, end song, is over 10 minutes, and I think the vocals don't come into like 6.5. And just the way it kind of hypnotically repeats, but kind of adds stuff in and builds up and builds up. I can see that being like a live show highlight where they could like stretch that out for another 10 minutes if they wanted to. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with this. Glad I got it. Glad I got over my fear of listening to it. So not metal, but that's my number 9. All right, my number 8 is the mighty Moron Red with Eat Pussy for Satan. I did a video already talking about this for a decent amount of time, so I won't go into it too much. You probably know Moron Red from their YouTube channel, where the vocalist Rivak yells at puppets and and us and everybody else. He's very entertaining. But yeah, just an awesome album. As I said before, every song stands apart. Every song is different, which I really appreciate. And I Killed 3 People with a Crowbar, I think, is the feel-good hit of the year. That's just such a great fun song to listen to. So out on Goat Throne Records. If you haven't heard it, I would say definitely check it out. All right, now we're getting to our first cheat. So I can't stop gushing and dick riding Graveworm. And Graveworm has put out an album every year since... When's the last year they skipped? I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. 2012, they did not have a full length. But since then, they've had one every year at least, sometimes more than one. This year, there were 3. So albums 23, 24, and 25. So obviously, I'm not going to choose more than one. And since, my point with Graveworm having an album every year is nearly every year I put Graveworm on my top 10, which is, I think to me is correct, but it's kind of boring, right? Like taking up a space every year for that. So I'm instituting the Graveworm rule where they can be in my top 10, but not count as one of the 10, if that makes any sense. So I'm labeling this one 7.5. And of the 3, we got Poisonous Kingdom and Lord of the Darkest Depths and Triumph of Shadows. I was really torn between these 2. These are definitely, I like these more than Poisonous Kingdom, even though I also like that. But I think just overall, I prefer this one, Lord of the Darkest Depths. These came out like really close together, like within a month or 2. So obviously, kind of Kevin's in the same headspace, and probably some of the songs that were left over from this ended up on here. So they're quite similar, but I think I prefer the songs on Lord of the Darkest Depths. So that is my 7.5. All right. Now we're going to 7. Another non-metal one. This is Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds with Wild God. Kind of a lame cover. When I saw this up for pre-order, I just assumed that... there we go. I assumed this was just like a placeholder for the real cover, but I guess this was the real cover. But this is their 18th album on something called PIAS Records. I don't know, never heard of it. But I guess it stands for Play It Again, Sam, I see here. So this is quite different. Obviously, Nick Cave is more known for kind of the darker side of things. maybe kind of in the same kind of territory as The Cure. And if you know anything about his life, his son died in a freak accident, I think around 10 years ago. So a lot of his music has been pretty morose, as can be expected. But this one really kind of turns it around. This is actually quite positive and uplifting, without ruining the Nick Cave vibe. A lot of kind of gospel type influences on this, especially like in the choir backing vocals. But just all the way through, amazing. The song "Joy" I really like, and as an old friend, will be excited to hear. Kind of does make me tear up a little bit. Seems to be about his son and kind of coming to terms with it. But yeah, just every song is great. There's a tribute on here to his former partner Anita Lane, who was involved with the birthday party and was in the Bad Seeds originally, I think in an early incarnation, and co-wrote a lot of songs with him. That she just passed away recently, so there's a song in tribute to her, and has a excerpt from a phone call they had, so you can hear her talk to him, and it's just really moving, and a great album. So another non-metal one gets on my poser list. Wild God from Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. All right, number 6, we've got Yotheria with Blazing Inferno. This is their second album on Edge Circle Productions. So this project was formed by Jim Mutilator and the Magus, kind of Greek black metal legends, affiliated, of course, with Rotting Christ, where kind of where it all started. But this was their project that they started, and the Magus was doing vocals, and he has since left. So I was a little apprehensive about what it was going to be like. But this is just, if you like that Hellenic black metal sound, full of those great melodies, you're going to love this. A lot of great Greek albums I got this year, but this was my favorite, including the new Rotting Christ, which I also really liked. But this topped it for me. The new vocalist, he goes by he. The name he, let's see if I can say the name. Rustam Shekarizanov he's Russian. He's from the band Rakoth, which I am not familiar with at all. But in case you are, and that's of interest to you, there's that. But yeah, just an excellent Greek black metal album. So that's my number 6. Number 5, Mater Mortem with Old Eyes, New Heart. This came out on Dark Essence. This is their 8th album. They've been going since the mid-90s. It's a band from Norway. Started out more as a kind of a doom project. I guess still has some of that element in there. I guess they're a very strange band. I don't really know anybody that sounds like them. I guess you could say progressive metal, but not progressive in the Dream Theater type way, if you know what I mean. Just kind of adventurous musically, I guess we'll say that. So the core of the band is Agneta and BP Kirkevag. I know that's the correct pronunciation. I know I nailed it. I'm very confident in that. A brother and sister, and Agneta is the vocalist, and probably, if not my favorite female vocalist, top 3. She just has an excellent, clean singing voice, and can do kind of the emotional, kind of softer parts. But when it's time to kind of bust out, she just has amazing power to her voice, and it's still clean. She doesn't go into any, extreme vocals or anything. Yeah, she's kind of the star of the band to me, and her performance just kind of makes it. A lot of variety on here. Some rockers, one song called On Guard that's kind of like the words are failing me. Almost like a sultry kind of start to it, like almost torch songy. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of different stuff going on in here, and I like all of it. So Mater Mortem, if you're looking for something a little bit different, still with a bit of a metal edge to it, I would say check them out. All right. Shit. All right. Another cheat. I shouldn't have cheated so much. This is going to be too long. But this will be quick because I've already talked about it. This is a cheat because it's an EP. This is Windswept from Ukraine with let me dazzle you again. Derene Varekanig, which I believe is German, and again, flawless pronunciation on that. This came out in Primitive Reaction. So this is Roman from Drudka and Hate Forest, another of his projects. I did a whole video on them, but an amazing EP. It's like a half hour long, which is longer than some full length, so I'm not too sad about including it. The kind of unique thing about this is it's kind of split into halves. The first half has vocals from Tobias Makel of Passage d'Hiver and Dark Space, and then the second half has vocals from Alexander from Ruins of Everest, and they're very different. I don't know how much they collaborated with each guy, but they definitely each have their own personalities. So this is straight up black metal. So if you're interested in that, interested in Roman's projects, interested in either of those vocalists, I would definitely recommend it. Right. Number 4, Forgyard. Don't know if that's right either. Forgjord with Perkeline. Very. It'll be below in the links because you don't have to try to puzzle out what I'm trying to say. Anyway, this came out on Werewolf. This is their 7th full length. Very long running band, but a lot of their history they didn't release anything, but they've been steadily releasing stuff now. This is raw black metal, I guess you would say. Very riffy, very catchy. Every song on it is distinct. It's like 35-ish minutes, and they just kind of go through. You could almost mix the songs up because they're all kind of have their own thing going on, but it still does flow together, if that makes any sense. There's some kind of punkish hooliganism in some of the songs. There's some folk parts. There's definitely a doomy element. A little bit of thrash, I would say, in certain spots. Sounds to me like a really well-recorded rehearsal, which I really like. I like that kind of edge to it, but you can still hear everything. Yeah, I think this might be their strongest album so far. I've just kind of been keeping up with them, and I've been impressed with every album. This is one that probably should be higher, but I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around all of it. But yeah, highly recommended. If someone picked this as their album of the year, I definitely would not argue. Forgyard with The Thing I said perfectly. Number 3, a little clue. Spectre Wound, Songs of Blood and Mire. So this came out on Profound Lore this year. This is their 4th full length, and just fucking amazing. Again, raw black metal, but extremely accessible. Very memorable songs, awesome riffs, and one of those albums that the first time I listened to it, I liked it, which sometimes is a bad thing. Sometimes if I really like it at first, it burns out pretty quick. But this one I've just been playing ever since I got it. And I'd heard a bunch of these songs when I saw them live and got the shirt. And so I was kind of primed to already like it. Yeah, just a fantastic album. I was looking forward to this a lot, and they didn't disappoint me at all. So Spectre Wound, Songs of Blood and... Did I say Blood and... Yeah, Blood and Mire. Yeah, Blood and Mire. Okay. All right, getting down to the end here. So my second one, I'm quite confident will not have been on anyone's list. It is One with the Riverbed with their album Succumb. So this was released on Dusktone this year. Why did I say this year? It's this year's list. Dumb fuck. Okay. Second full length. This is a band from my hometown. They're from Kalamazoo, Michigan. I found out about them through a friend of mine who's a friend of the vocalist, and went to see him and became a fan. But this, to me, is a huge step up. I like their previous stuff. They're labeled as atmospheric black metal. I think I described them as that before. It's a little misleading. I hate to use the term black gaze because people are going to think of the hated Deaf Heaven and I wouldn't put them in that category. But they definitely have a shoegaze element along with the extreme metal. And in previous releases, it was almost, in a lot of spots, it was like a heavy shoegaze band, like a shoegaze band with elements of metal or metal sections in there. Whereas this one is reversed. This is definitely a metal album with some of that shoegaze stuff still in there. Very like swirling guitars, and reminds me of My Bloody Valentine in a lot of spots. I'm planning to do a longer video about this band for Marty's contest, so I will leave it at that. But please check out One with the Riverbed. I think they're fantastic and definitely deserve a little bit more attention. And they're my number 2 album this year. And my number 1, I watched Shaun the Beast video and I was like, oh, damn it. Now I got to change my number 1. But it's my number 1, man. I mean, we're gonna match Sean. So, and actually, Sean let me know that this even came out because I slept on it for some reason. I didn't know it came out. This is Passage d'Hiver with Die Berge, which I believe means the mountain. This is on his label, Kunsthal Productions. This is the 3rd full length, I guess, technically, though they have 10 demos that are full length, that are long enough to be a full length and all have original songs that aren't repeated. So, you know, this is either his 3rd or his 13th album, however he wants to put it. But this is long, man. This is a 2-disc affair. It's about an hour and 40 minutes, maybe a little longer. So 2 discs there. And if you weren't familiar with them, these I don't know if their vinyl comes in these, but the CDs all come in these like oversized digibooks and come in a black envelope sealed with, I don't know if you can tell that it's kind of embossed on there, the band name, and then very small underneath is the album title. So anyway, that doesn't really matter. I just thought it was of interest in case you hadn't seen it. This is some raw black metal, and intentionally raw. The whole concept of this project is it's a long story about a man going on a journey through like a winter landscape and things happening to him, and I guess every release is a chapter of the story, but they're not in order. But you don't, and the lyrics are in German, so I don't know what's going on. But you don't need to know any of that. Basically, the album starts, and it's like you just walked into a blizzard. You're just being bombarded with sound, and there's a lot of sound effects too that kind of help the atmosphere of it. And you know, the first song is like 18 minutes, so you're just getting pummeled in the face, and but you know, it goes through different dynamics. There's a part where, I don't know, there's footsteps and then it gets quiet. I imagine he like found a cave to crawl into for a bit of respite from the elements. Yeah, basically this is hard to talk about. I can see why people would hate this. Because it's super repetitive, which if it works, creates a great vibe and is hypnotic. I definitely think of this as a vibe album. Like, if you have to kind of be into what they're doing, and if it connects with you, you don't mind how long it is. I mean, I've listened to this way many more times than I thought I would for an album that demands this amount of time. But it might not be for you also. But I think it's a masterpiece. There's rumors this might be the last one. I hope not, but if so, he's going out on a high note with this. So this is Passage d'Hiver, Die Berge. If I didn't say, this is Tobias Mockel, aka Winther, who also is a guest vocalist on that Windswept EP. So good year for him on my list. That's it, guys. Okay. Sorry about the length. This will be my last video of the year, so Happy New Year to everybody. Hope everybody had a good holiday, and we'll have a good New Year and is doing well. And as always, CM Punk is a piss baby. Later.